So today we're going to learn how to make a really simple multiplication table in Python. So all we're going to need to know for this is for I in range. Basically what this does is it takes whatever number is here, right? Let's say it's 13, and it'll loop through it. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 13 minus 1. So it'll go all the way up to 12. Might seem confusing at first, but it's actually pretty useful that it only goes up to the number minus 1. Usually in a lot of circumstances, that's what you want. And it usually starts at 0, so I'm just going to make it go start at 1. This is what that means. So it'll start at 1, and then it'll go up to 13. Now, if I were to print this, I just printed I, and I made the end a new tab. If I did a /t here, rather than making it /n, which is the default is that you have /n makes it a new line. So it's just going to go enter 1, enter 2, enter 3. Instead, this will make a tab. So it'll say 1, tab, 2, tab, and so on, right? Now that's actually pretty useful if you have it as a tab, because now if you look, then we have it all evenly spaced out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Even once it gets to like 10 or 11, if we just had spaces here, then it would look kind of crooked and weird. But with tab, it actually keeps it all in order. But we don't want that. We want it to multiply, right? So let's make another for loop for I in range 1 to 13 again. Now, I don't want I anymore. Let's make this one change to x because it's the horizontal line, right? And let's change this one to y. Y will be the vertical line. And let's print x plus y. So basically it's going to loop through 13 times here, and it'll also loop through the y 13 times. So it'll go 1, and then it'll go 2, 3, 4, all up to 13, and then it'll do 2 on this, and then it'll go again and again and again until this finally gets to 13, and then it'll be over. So now if we press F5 again, it's going to go perfect in a box. That's exactly what we wanted. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it just goes all the way in a huge box. In order to make sure that this isn't broken or anything, I'm just going to go to the very top here and just have a print statement, because sometimes the numbers or letters will go like in a weird spot, like right over here. But this should just fix that. And one more thing I'm going to do, since this is a multiplication table, I'm just going to multiply it. So x times y. I have to press F5 again. I mean, the last lines are a little bit wonky, but that's just because this is in Visual Studio. If you had this in like a programming compiler, then it would be fine. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you've got all these numbers here up to 36, and then you've got at the very end 144, which is what you want. Now this might not seem very useful because it's all scrambled up, but you actually have all the output you need right here in x times y. We could make like a list, for example. And now we can just append every item of the list, which is x times y, that's what the item is. And we can append it. And then actually at the very end, we could just print the list. So let's just go over here and press F5. Instead, we're just going to have a huge, massive list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, blah. And then we have the next line and then the next line. And it basically just tells us what do these multiply into. We've got 11, and then we've got 12. Very cool. Now, maybe you want this to be a little bit more readable and more easy to digest and change. So let's just make a function, and let's call this multiply box, or multibox. And let's just put all of this inside of here. And then at the very end, we'll just return the list. Make sure to use parentheses here. And one thing we want is we want to be able to change the x max and the y max. This is just how big does the box go to. So the x max by default is equal to 12 because we want it to be easier to put into down here. We'll say that we're taking the x max and we're putting it right here where it'll be x, right? And we're just putting in 13, and we'll add 1 so that it's more like intuitive for, let's say, someone who isn't as coder brained, right? And then we've got y max plus 1. So if this is 12, it'll give us 12 in total. And if this is 13, then it'll give us 13 in total. And I'll say y max is equal to 12, just so we have a nice even box. And now if we have this multiply box, the default will be 12 by 12. We don't even have to put anything inside of here. It'll just do that. And we'll have our list, and it'll do that. And then once we return the list, we'll actually want to put this inside of here because we aren't actually making a list now. We're making a return statement for the multiply box. And I'm just going to make a space there just so it's more obvious and clean. And let's press F5 again, and it'll do the same exact thing. But if I wanted it to only go on, let's say, 5 on the X and 12 on the Y, this will make it go 5 here, and then 12 there, and press F5. Now the list is a lot shorter. It only goes up to 5, and 5 times 12 is 60. Perfect. So yeah, that's how you make a multiply box in Python. Thanks for watching.